Dan, good news. Inflation is over.
Really? I heard somewhere today that the Biden inflation nightmare is done. Is that true?
Here's where you heard it from Donald Trump. Let's listen.
We're also fighting the menace of inflation to make life more affordable for American seniors, and we've ended Biden's inflation nightmare. So we had the worst inflation in the history of our country, and now our inflation is down to a perfect number, a beautiful number, hardly any at all. And yet our country is taking in tens of billions of dollars and trillions of dollars, actually trillions of dollars in tariffs. And you know all about it. It's been amazing. They say, why are we taking in so much money? Last week they found $29 billion and they couldn't figure out where it came from. I said, check the tariff shelf. And they said, how did you know that's where it came from? We're taking in billions and even trillions of dollars in tariffs paid by other countries who, frankly, were taking advantage of us for many, many years. And they were doing that to us, but our people didn't know it. We didn't have smart business people.
Whoo boy. Here's the big headline from this morning. The producer price index, which is a measure of inflation, jumped more than any time in the last 3 years.
Today? That happened today?
That happened today.
Does Trump know?
Well, if someone tells them, they probably will get fired.
Well,
which is
I
what
got
happened
bad news for you.
Happened to the last person that gave him bad jobs numbers.
They already fired the Biden deep state plants inside the BLS who does the report, so I don't know who to blame for this one.
Also, once again, tariffs not paid by the other countries. Certainly not trillions coming in.
Yeah, I mean, trillions would be quite impressive, but we always have to say this. The people who pay the tariffs are the importers in the United States. They're paid at the dock by the business who takes the goods.
And because that's true, that's why we also got a producer price index inflation indicator that jumped by more than any time in the last 3 years this morning. So on the day we find out that inflation is heading back up because of tariffs, Donald Trump said, we have beat the inflation nightmare. Like perfect timing.
John, it was literally 2 days ago that the consumer price index came out, which showed core inflation up 3.1% over the year and at the fastest rate of annual increase in 5 months. That was on Tuesday.
And just so people know, obviously the producer price index is what like companies deal with, right? It's like the cost of wholesale goods. So all the analysis of this measure is saying, well, this is a sign that the days of companies eating the tariffs and not passing the price increases on to consumers are ending. Like the consumer price increases are about to hit. So perfect day for Donald Trump to declare victory. If this was any other politician in any other time period and you said that the economy was great and that you've beaten inflation when inflation started skyrocketing, like that would be the end? I don't know. What do you think? Is these words going to come back to bite him in the ass?
Probably not, because no one seems to care what he says when he says it, but it is the equivalent of, and to use a very dated reference that means a lot to us personally,
I know.
This is hanging the mission accomplished banner on the aircraft carrier.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the fundamentals of the economy are strong. John McCain.
No, I think it's even worse than that, right? Which is like, I took on this task that I promised you that I would do, and I'm now declaring victory when it is most certainly not accomplished in any way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah.
Like it is just worth remembering the entire premise of Trump's victory for a large swath of voters was that he would lower prices. And then he got into office. And not only did he not focus on lowering prices in any way, shape, or form, he then undertook a quite radical, quite aggressive approach to raise prices on people.
Just incredible. Now, Trump delivered those remarks in the Oval. He was there to sign a proclamation celebrating the 90th anniversary of Social Security. And so he made sure he got a few lies in about that as well.
And they paid into the system. They deserve it. Last month, I signed one big, beautiful bill and allowed no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, okay? So how's that? Not bad, right? No tax on Social Security for our seniors. And to protect our benefits, we've already kicked nearly 275,000 illegal aliens off of the Social Security system. These are people, many of them have already left the country.
It is wild that he and the rest of the White House and the Social Security Administration just keep lying about this. So no taxes on Social Security. That's just not true.
Yeah, and it feels like it's something that people who file their taxes would notice.
Yeah.
Or they get their statements from the government, which would show taxes withheld.
So people know the bill did not change the law to eliminate taxes on Social Security benefits. Couldn't do that through reconciliation. That's a change of a law, so you would have needed 60 votes. So what they did is they have some temporary senior deduction that basically expires in a couple years, and only people 65 over can take it, and it only affects some people who are like middle income. And it's basically this like very narrow thing. It has nothing to actually do with Social Security. It's just because if you're 65 or older, you're probably getting Social Security, so you might be able to qualify for this temporary tax deduction. But he just keeps lying about it.
And like all things, it's one of those things that you have to file for, which excludes most people who are not paying someone to prepare their taxes.
Yes, that is the other thing. And on the subject of Social Security benefits and his event here trying to celebrate the 90th anniversary of Social Security, part of the problem with firing the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics and not having confidence in the monthly jobs reports now or the monthly inflation reports going forward is Social Security benefits are calculated by using the inflation indicators. And so if we don't know what the inflation actually is, then people's cost of living increases for Social Security might not happen, especially if you have a president who wants to pretend that inflation is solved. And so you underestimate what the actual inflation is, which means that you don't raise people's Social Security benefits to match a cost of living increase by as much as you would if you knew the real inflation numbers. So this is actually a fucking, like, not only is he not saving seniors money who are on Social Security, he could be costing them money as well. Thanks to firing all the economic data statistics people. All right, so the last clip is, of course, he does the Social Security thing, and then he takes like an hour of questions, a lot of tough questions he could get about the military occupation of D.C., about the lies he just told about Social Security and inflation, about tough questions about his meeting with Putin. It's coming up. This is the kind of question he got from reporters, the kind of reporters, I use that term very loosely, who were gathered in the Oval Office. Let's listen.
Howard Castro from Lindell TV. How are you today, sir? Democrats like Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren continue to peddle the lie and the claim that you're trying to cut Social Security, despite your repeated promises to protect it. Why do you think they keep pushing this misinformation and literally terrorizing the elderly in America that sadly keep watching the very misleading mainstream media?
I love your question. I should have called you almost first, but I love his questions also, always. But it's such a good question. It's so vicious what they do. Elizabeth Warren said she was an Indian. We call her Pocahontas. She's a liar. She lied her whole career. Based on the fact that she was an Indian, she was able to get into certain colleges, get certain jobs, get into certain universities to work there. She's a liar and a mean person. She's a nut job. I watched her the other night. She's all hopped up endorsing a communist in New York City. And she was all excited and jumping up and down. She's got to take a drug test. She really does. She's got to take a drug test. There's no way somebody can act that way and be normal.
Well, that was something.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I watched this live because I'm a lunatic.
Same.
What I didn't catch the first time was, did she say she's from Lindell TV?
She sure did, Dan.
Is that Mike Lindell?
Yes, the My Pillow guy. I guess he has a television. I didn't even know this. He has a television network, and then he has.
I don't think it's I don't think it's television.
Sorry,
he has something.
He has something he's calling Lindell TV. We don't know what it is.
He has a phone and internet access, is what he has.
Yeah, and he hired some MAGA influencer off the street, who now is a White House reporter, I guess, covering the Trump administration. We're asking some hard-headed, tough questions of the president. Why are Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren literally terrorizing seniors?
Had a lot of nice things to say about Bernie, though.
He did, yeah. After that, he was like, "Oh, he's old, but he hasn't lost his fastball. I won't say fastball, but he's sharp." It was really weird.
There is something very strange going on, that it's not a bigger deal that Trump has basically destroyed the concept of the White House press corps, and that the pool, he is now on a daily basis surrounded by sycophants who will only ask him the questions he wants. And I don't know why.
Like, where was everyone there? I remember in the Zelensky thing or some of these other big moments in the Oval, like Peter Alexander was there, Caitlin Collins was there. Like, where was everyone today?
Well, they have taken the wires out of the pool, I think, the last I saw, which was a way to get around the AP court decision. So now there's no wires. And so now I think it's more like every once in a while, Caitlin Collins will be there, or there is still some sort of network rotation, but on a day-to-day basis, it's just Trump sycophants asking questions. And you would think that the White House Correspondents Association or other reporters would be literally lighting themselves on fire to protest this. And it's just, maybe it's a culture of silence because they're afraid they're going to get kicked out of the pool, and they're just deciding that it's better to be in the pool once every 6 times as opposed to never being in the pool. But America should know that the president has made specific decisions to avoid any sort of scrutiny. For example, we're doing this whole thing about how this morning, hours before this press conference where he declared inflation was over, a report from his own government came out saying that inflation was up. And no one asked that question, at least in the 35 minutes or so that I watched this thing.
I mean, outside the walls of the White House, there is basically a military occupation of D.C. Last night, there were protests. There were a vehicle checkpoint on fucking 14th Street with ICE agents pulling people over for taillights and insurance mishaps and their car insurance. I mean, nothing. And the only questions he got about that was like, what do you say to the Democrats who said that the crime is gone in the city and there is never any crime in D.C. and what you're doing is whatever? And he's like, thank you for the question. There's like 2 questions that could be construed as, I wouldn't say tough questions, but at least like normal reporter questions out of, 45 minutes of questions there. It's insane.
There were a couple questions on Russia that were like fair, normal questions. Like, is this going to be on the table? Is it not going to be on the table? Someone asked, do you see it, like, does this encourage, are you rewarding essentially Putin for invading Ukraine? And then someone asked a very good question about, would you pressure Israel to let journalists into Gaza, which Trump actually said. He didn't say he would pressure them. He said he'd be fine if it happened, which is 2 very different things. One's an actor, one's an observer.
Yeah.
But other than that, the rest of it is Trump he's insulated from scrutiny. He is picking his questioners on a day-to-day basis. And we've talked a little bit about this when the decision was originally made about changing the White House pool, when the White House took over picking the people as opposed to the White House Correspondents Association. Like, it is bad on a day-to-day basis, but if something serious ever happens, like on 9/11, when Bush was in the air for hours circling the United States because he couldn't land in Washington because they didn't know what the situation was, the people who could chronicle what was happening were the reporters on the plane, right? It's the people who moved with him. And they are the people who document history, and there will be no one to do that this time because it'll all be a bunch of fabulists who work for the MyPillow guy. Like, that's it. Like, that does have real consequences for democracy, and it just allows Trump to get away with so much on a day-to-day basis because he doesn't feel pushback from anyone ever.
Nor does anyone in his administration. I've been saying, like, their lies have gotten worse and lazier. Like, they're not even trying now to come up with good lies.
They face no pushback. They don't talk to regular reporters. They don't care if they get called liars. It's just, there is no...
And it's him, J.D. Vance, Rubio. None of these people are... Bondi. None of these people are facing questions from reporters live on television that are difficult. Like, their press offices are sending back whatever statements they want to reporters who, like, inquire about stuff, but they don't care.
Not great.
Not great. But that was... anyway, so happy inflation being over day. And happy anniversary to Social Security.
Yes, happy anniversary to Social Security.
Maybe one of the last.
Here are your takeaways. Social Security, still alive for now. Inflation, not dead. Democracy, on the brink.
Please subscribe to Pod Save America YouTube channel.
Absolutely.
We are rapidly approaching 1 million subscribers.
But is it rapidly enough is the question.
That's what I'm saying. Because the days in August are ticking away here, and Elijah's getting a little nervous, wants to keep his job, and also every subscriber over 1 million, Tommy has to pay Elijah another $1, and then if it gets to I think we said 250,000 over, then Tommy has to do a YouTube sit down with JD Vance to talk about Emily in Paris.
The end result here is Elijah's really good at his job. He will make an additional $250,000, and then Tommy will have to talk to JD Vance about Emily in Paris, which is, people should know, Tommy's favorite show.
I know,
So
and
he's
JD
his
Vance.
favorite politician and Tommy's favorite show. The one thing they can.
This is going to be perfect. Just a couple of elder millennials talking about Emily in Paris.
Which JD Vance has agreed to this. I should just state for the record. So
Of
he's
course.
on board.
That's why. Subscribe, everyone. Hit
Yes.
that subscribe button. Pod Save America. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, everyone.